Today we're taking a look at these college football matches, which are happening on Thursday, December 29, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. Also, check out our perks and join the High Stakes membership. Joining the High Stakes membership is easy, is cheap, but it will help a lot in the growth process of this channel. Plus check out our Patreon in the link down below if you want access for our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Going back to our video, we will give you 2 betting picks for each game, a team pick and a total pick based on facts and detailed explanation, so make sure to watch our videos till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comments section below. Syracuse Orange vs Minnesota Golden Gophers. The Syracuse Orange head into this game 7-5 this season. In their last matchup, the Orange played the Boston College Eagles and took home the win by a score of 32-23. Garrett Schrader connected on 21-27 with 285 yards passing and 2 TDs. He had a QB rating of 190.9 and ended the contest with no interceptions. Sean Tucker was the rushing leader for the Orange with 21 totes for 125 yards, 6.0 yards per attempt. The Syracuse Orange ended up running the ball 39 different times and totaled 149 yards, earning them an average of 3.8 yards per attempt. When all was said and done, they ran 66 plays which totaled 434 yards. Syracuse surrendered 29 pass completions on 38 attempts for 252 yards and a completion percentage of 76.3%. Against the run, the Orange conceded 88 yards on 36 attempts, which averages out to 2.4 yards per rush surrendered. Regarding putting points on the board, the Syracuse Orange have an average of 28.3 ppg. As a team they are averaging 142.1 yards rushing, which ranks them 80th in the nation. The Orange have tallied 4,390 total yards for the year. With reference to notching touchdowns, Syracuse has amassed 19 passing touchdowns and 19 touchdowns via the ground. Syracuse has compiled 238 first downs offensively, and they have committed 106 penalties for 778 yards. They have turned the ball over 12 different times. Concerning passing yards, the Orange are giving up 2,266 yards, which ranks them 18th in Division I. They have relinquished 188.8 yards per contest via the pass, as well as allowing a completion percentage of 66.7%. Overall, they are granting 338.1 yards per contest, putting them 29th in college football. They have yielded 16 touchdowns via the pass and 16 touchdowns via the ground game. They are giving up 3.8 yards per rush and 149.3 rushing yards per contest on the season. For the season, they have conceded 1,792 rushing yards through 12 games. The Orange rank 35th in college football when it comes to team defense, conceding 22.7 points per contest. Minnesota is a solid favorite here, as they should be. In fact, it's not enough points they are giving away as the line is too low. Syracuse arguably doesn't even belong in bowl game, given the way they finished, and Minnesota finished strong and played in a much tougher conference. Also, add to that the fact that Syracuse's offensive and defensive coordinators have left for greener pastures, and the Orange's job becomes that much tougher. Minnesota has the 3rd-ranked scoring defense, and it should overpower Syracuse's offense, especially as they are top 20 against the run. This game will be won in the trenches as Syracuse's 73rd-ranked rushing defense won't stop Minnesota's top 15 rush attack. Take Minnesota giving up the points. Our first pick is Minnesota minus 9.5 points. The Golden Gophers step onto the field holding a record of 8-4 this year. When they last played, the Golden Gophers went home victorious with a score of 23-16 when they faced the Wisconsin Badgers. Ethan Kaliakmanis, 2 TDs, ended the game with 319 yards on 19 29ths through the air, while his quarterback rating was 180.7. He didn't toss any picks, and his YA was 11.0. Muhammad Ibrahim carried the football 27 times for 70 yards, ending the game with 2.6 yards per attempt for Minnesota. Minnesota ended up running for 2.6 yards per carry, finishing the contest with 97 yards on 37 attempts. The Golden Gophers finished with 416 yards, and they ran 66 plays, 6.3 yards per play. The Golden Gophers' pass defense allowed a completion percentage of 54.5%, surrendering 191 yards on 18 out of 33 through the air. Minnesota allowed 33 run attempts for 143 yards, 4.3 yards per rush. The Minnesota Golden Gophers finished out the year strong, winning 4 of their last 5 games to wind up with a record of 8-4 overall and 5-4 in the Big Ten. They actually had an outside chance to win the Big Ten West but ended up in second place, 1 game behind Purdue. The luck of the schedule gave them Rutgers, Northwestern and Nebraska in the final stretch, and they won all of them. The only loss in the final stretch was a 13-10 defeat to Iowa, but then they closed out on a high note, beating their rival, Wisconsin, 23-16 on the road as a 3-point underdog. The Syracuse Orange backed their way into a bowl bid this season. They started off like world beaters, winning their first 6 games. Then they proceeded to lose 5 straight. In the final week of the season, they finally got back in the win column, but it was against woeful Boston College, arguably the worst team in the ACC. And they almost lost that game, as they trailed heading into the fourth quarter and needed 26 fourth quarter points to win. Quarterback Garrett Schrader was very efficient, going 21-27 for 285 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oren Gadsden caught 6 passes for 106 yards, while Devaughn Cooper had 7 grabs for 80 yards and a score, and Damian Alford had 4 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. The top offensive threat, running back Sean Tucker, ran for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has over 1,000 yards on the ground this season. The Minnesota Golden Gophers hold an average of 404.1 yards per outing, which has them ranked 56th in the nation. The Minnesota offense has accrued 394 yards of penalties on 44 violations, which is 129th in D1 in terms of helping out the opposition. For the season so far, the Golden Gophers have a total of 2,231 yards through the air, as well as an average of 185.9 throwing yards per contest, ranking them 114th in college football. Regarding this team's ability to score points, the Golden Gophers are 68th in the country, scoring 28.3 points per contest. So Syracuse has some weapons on offense, as they average 28.3 points per game, which ranks 67th. They are 88th in total yards, 76th in passing yards, and 77th in rushing yards. But the offense did lose its offensive coordinator, Robert Anae, who left to take a similar role at North Carolina State. He will be replaced for this game by quarterbacks coach Jason Beck. They also lost receiver Courtney Jackson to the transfer portal. But not a huge loss, although he had 15 catches for 201 yards and a touchdown. The Orange are solid defensively, giving up 22.7 points per game, which ranks 36th nationally. They are better against the pass, ranking 19th, and worse against the run, ranking 68th, and giving up 150.1 yards per game. But they also lost their coordinator as defensive coordinator Tony White left to become DC at Nebraska. Nick Monroe will take over as interim defensive signal caller. Also, defensive lineman Steve Linton, who had 6 tackles for a loss, entered the transfer portal. Minnesota has conceded a total of 1,270 yards via the ground game, 105.8 yards per outing, and 8 touchdowns via the rush this year. They have allowed 8 touchdowns via the pass, in addition to 173.7 yards per game, ranking them 8th in college football. The Golden Gophers' defense has been on the field for 685 plays, which ranks 4th in college football. The Golden Gophers are surrendering 13.3 points per game, ranking them 4th in college football. In total, they have relinquished 160 points in total. This is a low total, and both teams should be able to move the ball in this game. Minnesota's freshman quarterback Haley Ackmanis looked better in his final start of the year against Wisconsin, and Syracuse quarterback Schrader was healthy and played well in the Orange's final 2 games of the year against Boston College and Wake Forest. Syracuse's defense has been decent this year, but Minnesota's strong running game and improved passing game should be good enough to put up more than 20 points in this matchup. The Syracuse offense was solid before Schrader got hurt, and he is healthy for this game. Our second pick is over the total.